Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association, and I want to welcome you and thank you for attending today and taking time from your busy schedule to be here. Today's webinar, Cutting and Drilling Methods on Porcelain Tiles and Other Large Format Materials, is sponsored and presented by RUBI Tools. Now, before I introduce today's speakers, I want to remind you that during the webinar, you'll be muted. Please use the questions area on your computer to type in your questions, and we will answer those questions at the end of this presentation. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on your invite to this webinar and listen on your phone. As a reminder, all of our webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after the webinars are presented. This will give you easier access to watch and or share all current and past programs at your convenience. Today we have two speakers. Hector Martinez has been in the tile industry for 18 years and with RUBI for the last 4+ years as the technical manager, product trainer. Martinez worked specifically with slab porcelain gauge materials for the last 2 years. In 2019, Martinez helped RUBI Tools launch the slab system. Martinez has traveled internationally, presenting and demonstrating tools in Mexico and Spain. Carlos Delgado is the marketing and social media specialist for RUBI Tools USA for the past 1.5 years, developing campaigns and promotions to the RUBI Tools brand and working very closely with RUBI's team headquarters in Barcelona, Spain. Responsible for all things related to digital marketing and branding, he joins us today to discuss with Hector the new models and the best solutions to cut and drill large format materials. Gentlemen, I welcome both of you. I look forward to a very good presentation, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, Hector. Well, this is very exciting. We are very happy to be here with everyone. Welcome, everyone. And we are about to tackle a topic that is of much importance to everyone here: cutting and drilling methods on porcelain tiles and other large format materials. The large format is transforming the industry, and we are ready for it. So, Hector, what do you think? Let's get started.
All right, sounds good.
We're going to show you a little quick recap. We are very excited to be celebrating our 70th anniversary this year. 2021 was a great year where we are bringing our brand to the next level. So after 70 years, yes, we are still innovating our products, still innovating tools that are going to make your work easier and better. So just a quick showcase here of some of the new stuff that we're going to be bringing to you guys. Today we're going to discuss, of course, all the tile electric saws that the new models are going to transform and change a little bit of the way that you cut tile these days. You'll see new packaging, the brand is getting refreshed, and more you're going to start finding these icons that are going to allow you to see and identify the tools that you're actually working or using through your projects. So today, number 2 is going to be the main topic. We're around the world, but here in the States, we obviously are still building the future together with all of you. So we're very excited to show and share with everyone that we are celebrating anniversaries. As the NTCA next year, of course, this is coming up for next year. So be on the lookout because there's really cool issues coming up. Issues, I mean, from Tile Letter and the National Tile Contractor Association celebrating this anniversary. So we'll be part of that celebration as well. In this case, we are going to focus on trying to get you folks all the knowledge and all the information that you need to become better professionals. This is our slogan that we're running in this new brand. Hector, you agree with me that the better that we know how to use the tools, the better execution during the actual projects of installation of tile. And RUBI wants to help on that as well. So with that said, we're going to give you all of the information that you need and the proper training to be able to use the cutters the proper way and have successful stories during your installations. So Hector, like I mentioned before, we saw in this video the icons. You're gonna start finding all of this in the packaging and stuff today. Like I mentioned before, number 2 is our main topic: cut and drill. Can you tell me a little bit about how these numbers work?
Yeah, so on the packaging of our the new packaging on our tools, you can have either the numbers 1 through 5, and what they mean is number 1 is preparing your substrate and also preparing the tools needed for the job. In today's webinar, we'll be cutting and drilling on large formats, so we'll get into that, and then we'll also get into some of the number 3, which is setting materials, and 4 at the end with the grout, and then 5 obviously is the cleanup. So be on the lookout on our packaging number 1 through 5 and what setting that will fall into. So without further ado, let's talk about how we're going to cut these large formats. And before we get into it, the large formats we're going to be talking about today are the GPTP, the 4 feet by 8 feet, the 5 feet by 10 feet. But we're also going to be talking about 2 centimeter porcelain paver tile, as that's also considered a large format. And what the NTCA states is one side longer, one side that has 15 inches or longer on one side is considered a large format. So we'll get into the dry manual cutters and the electric wet saws. Here we have a chart of what we have available to you in forms of bridge saws and wet saws that we have. This is just a complete line of saws that we carry. If you look at this chart, we'll have rip cuts anywhere ranging from 33 to 61 inches. And now to our new ND 7-inch max and ND 7 ready, you can do up to 24 and 20 inches on this. The diagonal sizes are also listed here as well. 24 on the small, 33-inch rip cut, and 13 on the ND 7-inch max. The blade sizes will range from 7 inches on the ND7, thus the name, 10-inch on the DC, DCX, DX250, and the DS250, and then the 8-inch in the DU200. Here on the chart, you'll see if it's able to plunge cut. On these DUs, you will not be able to plunge cut. On the DS, you will not be able to plunge cut. The ND Readies, not available, but the others, you will be able to plunge cut. And we all know we like to talk about horsepower. So here's also how much horsepower you're going to get into the bridge saws, ranging from 1.5 up 3 horsepower on our bigger heavy duty saws. Now, when you're getting to the saws like the DS250 and the DX350, which are both 3 horsepower saws, these are going to be fabrication saws, meaning they're going to stay in one place. That's what they're meant to do. They're not meant to be taken from job site to job site, because these are going to need 25 amps to run, and 25 amps on a job site's not very common in the US. Here we have the DCX 250, which is one of our brand new models. It does use 61-inch rip cut. It also has a smaller version, which does a 49-inch rip. It has the 2 horsepower motor. It's got the advanced Python water spray, and you see my laser here. This is what I mean by the Python. It's got a button here. You can push it up or down. In the set position is going to be up here shooting water at the blade, but you can push it down so where you can get the water to shoot right at the point of contact. So it's cooling off the material and the blade that it's going, and you're getting that direct water right at the point of contact. It is a 2 horsepower saw. You can plunge, you can miter cut. It does weigh a little bit. The smaller saw is 172 pounds, and the bigger 61 inch is 189 pounds. So it's not the lightest saw that we have, but it's a heavy duty saw, and it's meant specifically for large formats tile. Here we have the DT 10-inch max, excuse me. It does a 36-inch rip right out of the box with 25 square tile on a diagonal. It is a 15-amp motor. It does have the same Python cooling system that we introduced in the DCX. As you can see, it does come with wheels. And it is an easy fix stand. Once you have the stand set up, there's a little tab here you can kick up, and it'll actually fold the whole DT 10-inch max down, and you can wheel it away. You can store it, or you can wheel it away and take it to your car. I have personally done this myself. I drive a 2017 Ford Explorer, and I can get it in and out by myself with no issues. It does come with a 10-inch blade. We are going to send a 10-inch VIP blade with this, so be on the lookout for it. Other features is a 4,000 RPM saw, weighs about 100 pounds. Like I said, very easy for a single person to maneuver. Some other features on this, we have a plunge lock here. Instead of screwing it down, it's simply pull. Like a grenade, I guess. You just kind of pull that thing and adjust your depth. The rollers for the table, you get 4 plastic rollers on each side instead of 5. We did go with the plastic because aluminum and metal, they tend to rust over time, and you'd have to change those out quite frequently. It also helps that we have the 4 rollers because it's either easy to adjust, so alignment is very easy to do on these machines. And yeah, just be on the lookout. We had a soft launch. Be on the lookout for this DT 10-inch max. It has the capability to do 2-centimeter tile. I took this to the hardscape show back in October, and I was cutting 2-centimeter porcelain paper tile all day long and didn't have an issue. Now, one of the reasons why I didn't have an issue, I was using the proper blade for the proper material. And in this case, a proper blade for that 2-centimeter 3/4 inch tile is we call the thicker. It's a segmented blade recommended for the 2cm exterior pavers. It is wet for wet cutting, and it does come in a 10-inch. And it comes in a 12-inch as well. So this is a heavy-duty blade. It's a very thick blade, thus the name thicker, I would guess. But it's ideal for those 3/4 inch tiles. Can you use it on regular tile? Yes, I've used it for regular tile. But for this kind of for that kind of specialty, you just want to keep that blade in that 2-centimeter exterior paver. Down below, we have the Arrowhead Turbo. It is a turbo, meaning it does go fast. It comes in a 7-inch and 10-inch, but also comes in 4.5 for your grinders. Ideal for porcelain, quartz, and granite. You can use it wet cut or dry cut, but obviously if you put it on the wet saw, we recommend that you use water. And down below that, we have what's called the Red Cobra continuous blade with the reinforced center. Now, the reinforced core here, it's very important to know why it's there. On any saw, and it could be a rig saw, it could be a tabletop saw, you incur a little bit of wobbling or vibration, and that's normal for the saw. So what this little reinforced core does, it stops that extra wobbling and vibration from happening, so it's not walking or deviating from its path of cut. So very important to know that. Now, can you do plunge cutting? Can you force it? With the Red Cobra, you can. It's not as thin as the next blade we're talking about, the VIP. But you don't want to force it too much either, because like I said, this reinforced core is meant so that it doesn't move much, so it cures that wobbling and vibration. But this Red Cobra is my favorite blade. Why? Because you can use it for natural stone, porcelain, and glass. So I call it, RUBI officially calls it the Red Cobra. I call it the money maker as a former installer myself. Instead of changing out the blades for a natural stone or porcelain, literally what I'm doing is I'm just dressing the blade before I change the material. So I'm cutting marble and I'm going to cut a piece of porcelain without turning off the machine and changing the blade. I would just clean up my blade using the dressing stick and then continue with the next piece of material. So that's my favorite blade, but I'm talking out of personal experience there. Next up, we have the VIP Turbo Mesh, and this one comes in all the sizes, 4, 4.5, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, and 14. It's got that same reinforced thick center to avoid the wobbling vibrations. It is called Turbo Mesh because it is high speed, perfect finishes. We're talking about chip-free. You can use it dry or wet. The main thing to know about this saw though is for straight cuts only. This is thinner. This is less than 2 millimeters in thickness. So this is not a blade that you can use for miter cuts. This is not a blade you can use for a radius, aka a toilet flange cut. This is not one that I would use on a miter. What could happen is the blade can break because it's not meant to move with that reinforced thick center, and because it's so thin. Up next, we have the 2-in-1 ECD blade. These come for your grinder, the 4.5 and 5 inch. It's used for grinding, beveling, rounding, or shaping. It does come with a 5/8 inch arbor to use it on your grinder, but that arbor can be taken off and either one switch to the other side, because we got electroplated dots here. We got electroplated dots on both sides. So once one side is used up, you can flip the adapter over to the opposite side to use the other electroplated dots. Or if you don't need the adapter at all, you can just take it off and you can put it on a circular saw, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Here I have a little bit of video showing what the 2-in-1 ECD blade does. Just get to it. As you can see, it's got the electroplated dots. It's called 2-in-1, like I said, because it cuts, grinds, and bevels and shapes as you're going. Here we have it. We're using on a grinder. You just kind of circle it into place, and it's ready to rock and roll. This is made for everything from hard porcelain to granite to marble. This is an all-around the best blade that we have to do everything, meaning the cutting, the grinding, the shaping, and even the miter cutting. For miter cutting with a grinder or with the circular saw like the TC125 we have, this is the blade that I recommend that be used. Okay, as you can see here, he's cleaning up the side. He's probably gonna make a bull nose out of this. Comes in handy when hand making bull noses. We do want to remember to practice our PPE, meaning protective equipment. We want to use our gloves, we want to use masks, and we want to use goggles. Here we see the finished product of our miter. 2-in-1 ECD, like I said, it's one of the best blades or the best blade that RUBI has. And the TC125, this is a circular saw that rides on the rails, right? So here we have a little bit of what we talked about, we will talk about, what we'll show you here with the TC125 is, so I just scroll a little bit. The TC125, you can get in the kit, you can buy it separately. If you already have the RUBI slim cutter system, you don't need to buy the whole kit because you already have the rails. It does use the same rails as the slim cutter system. With the TC125 though, in the kit, you get a bag to store your 3 guide rails. Okay, as you can see, he's joining them up with he's joining them up at the seams. You get 2 suction cups here, and he's tightening them down. So that's so when you go to either score or you use the TC125, the guides are held in place. Okay, it's got 7 bearings. Now it's really crucial to know, if you're going to use this, you're going to need some slack to start your cut, and you need some slack to finish your cut. Here you can see they're putting a vacuum hose. It's got a vacuum hose attachment. What's not noticeable now, but it's got an attachment for a water hose back here. As you can see, we're going to watch this cut. Not the fastest moving saw, but if you need something precise, or you're using the 5 feet by 10 feet that needs to be rectified because it comes unrectified, or because you need to cut a 1-inch tension strip off, this is the way to go, because you will not be able to use the separator with that. Here we go. Here's the water hose adapter. Okay, and now we can use it wet. Now with the TC125, you can use either the 5-inch or 4.5-inch blade. It does have 1250 watts. As you can see, you use it wet or dry. I like to use both. That way it can catch as much water as we're producing. Okay, you can do plunge cutting and you can do miter cutting. So if for those that aren't familiar with the term plunge cutting, if I need to make a cut inside of my tile without going through the tile, I can adjust it so I can make a punch out with using the plunge cutting with the TC125. We'll go on to the next slide. Now we have the Slim Cutter Plus. We had the Slim Cutter system, but now it's the Slim Cutter Plus. The advantages of the Slim Cutter Plus is you get a third suction cup. You'll have a fourth rail to make it easier to use a TC125 so we can get that slack. We made the design changes to the cart, a better ergonomic handle. If you want to know what an ergonomic handle means, we're talking about better fitting. It fits your hand, it molds to your hand, kind of. So that way, when you're running the scoring cart over the guides, you won't lose grip. We also reintroduced a new bag. It's got compartments for each little suction cup, the scoring cart, and then introducing our new pliers. On the old Slim Cutter, you used to get 2, and now you only get 1. But the differences are with this one, it's more heavy duty. You can go up to 8 millimeters with the pliers on the Slim Cutter Plus. The slab table is very important when we're using the Slim Cutter or the Slim Cutter Plus system. Why we want to get great stability when we're making our scores. Okay, if anyone out there has ever installed a vinyl cove base, I have in the past. When you install it and you look at it from the side, what do you see? You see waves because it follows the path of the wall. Same is true when we're scoring with the Slim Cutter system or a system like that. If you're using, let's say a 6-foot party table that's plastic, what's going to happen is when you score, it's going to deflect because that table is going to bounce. The slab table here is not going to bounce because it offers great rigidity. So when you score it, it's a flat line. You're getting a good deep score. You can use it in conjunction with our slab trolley and our slab trans heavy duty to move your slab pieces or your large format pieces from place to place. We do make it a little easier. We got a working height of 27 inches, almost 27.5 inches. So it's lower to the ground, so you don't have to struggle putting your pieces on or taking them off. It does hold 551 pounds. This is per table. If you have the 8-foot or 10-foot long table, you're gonna need two tables. That comes with the Easy Fix connection, which is right here, if you see my pointer. Okay. And then down here on the feet, you can see that, we all know that as much as they try, concrete guys can't get a level, flat surface. Not to worry. On the foot of each of these tables, you can adjust the height. So you just take a level and you can level out your table. So that way you're not stuck with an uneven table or an uneven score. Okay. Here we're showing what kind of thickness we're using in our GPTP, right? Here we have for anything up to 6 millimeters, we have the pliers coming out of the Slim Cutter Plus, okay? Anything thicker than that, up to 15 millimeters, we have the Slim Separator, right? And now how the Slim Separator works, it does require a little bit of patience. So after we've done our score and we're ready to break, we're gonna take this little triangle here, and the center line that we created with the score is going to go through that, and we're going to twist this knob slowly. We don't want to move fast. If we move too fast, what's going to happen? It's going to shear off or crescent. Even if you got a good score, it's just too fast. So the way I tell people to use this is, if you ever seen a movie back in the day where they try to open a safe and they don't have the code, so what do? They take a doctor's stethoscope, they put it up to the knob, they turn the knob slowly until what? Till they hear a click. Same operation here. We're going to turn this knob slowly until we hear a click. Once you hear a click, that side has broken. Now you can take it off, go to the other side, and repeat the process to hear the click. Once you hear that click, both sides have broken, then you can keep increasing the pressure until finally the whole piece pops off. Scoring and breaking with large format. So here we have an up-close view of how our scoring cart works. So you can see all these bearings are touching our guide rails. And you can see with the scoring wheel that we have, it's leaving a nice score line back here. We want to hear like we're ripping a piece of construction paper, and we want to see a nice deep white line. Believe me, even on pure white tile, you'll be able to see a nice deep white line. Now we're able to achieve a great score with our 22 millimeter extreme scoring wheel, which is tungsten carbide, but now it's coated in titanium. All right, so we're able to get a good score and a deep score with our tile, but we're also going to get a good deep score with textured groove tile. You know, the wood plank look that everyone loves these days. I know the installers love it. They love installing, they love cutting it, but we're going to make sure that we get a good clean score with that, because if you think of the letter V, from point to point on the letter V, it was more open, and now from point to point, it's a lot tighter, so we're getting in those grooves a lot better. Okay, here are the pliers that come with the Slim Cutter Plus, and I wanted to show you the side view because the weights go on top. Now the weights, you may have a question, where should I set my weights? They don't need to be symmetrical. You want the weights furthest apart as possible, okay? It may look awkward if they're not symmetrical, but that's not how it's supposed to work. We want as furthest way apart as possible. As you can see underneath, this is what's gonna help give us the pressure to break it. Like our slim breaker, we're gonna just turn the knob so we press down, and then with our hand, we want to slowly increase pressure. We don't want to shake, when we shake someone's hand, we don't want to shake someone's hand and try to break their hand right off the bat. No, we want to shake someone's hand lightly and then slowly increase pressure. That's what we want to do when we use our pliers to break our GPTP or our large format tile. Now, what else can we use to cut these large format tiles? We have manual cutters for large formats. We have the two strongest tile cutters on the market today. All right, we have the TZ and the TX Max. The differences are, with the TZ, you get the reinforced rails here with the sliding mechanism inside. Not noticeable, we have a gear shift here. We have 3 gears. All the way forward and all the way back gets you to the scoring gear. If you lift up the hand a little bit, you'll see the gears change to a little bit, and then that'll get us to break 2 centimeter paper tile. You lift the handle up a little bit more, it'll go to the 3rd gear, which will now allow you to break regular standard, 5/8 inch tile. Now the breaking power on this TZ is 3,300 pounds of breaking power, which is strong enough to cut 2 centimeter porcelain paver. Now, I would want to preface it by saying not all 2 centimeter porcelain pavers are built the same. I can get into the whole double fired, how they're made in the process. A well-made porcelain paver, you can score and snap using the TZ or the TX. A not well-made 2 centimeter paver, you can struggle to cut it with our TZ or TX Max, but even on a wet saw, I've had people complain that they can't even cut it on a CNC machine. So using a well-made tile, you'll be able to score and snap it. The other difference is this: you get a nice canvas case. It has wheels. The TZ comes in 4 sizes: 33, 40 inch, 51 inch, and 61 inch. The TX Max comes in 3 different sizes: the 28, the 40, and the 49 inch. The other differences are the base here. You get a floating base, which helps distribute the breaking power with your material. It does have the 22 millimeter extreme scoring wheel as well as the TZ. All right, it is double bars, but the braking mechanism on here is different. If I were to have this live in the scoring position, the braking feet are clear out of the way, so I can actually see what I'm scoring, and I know it's not going to get in the path of my score. When I go to break it, all I have to do is lift up the handle, and you're going to hear kind of like you're going up a roller coaster. If you think back to your youthful days, you go up a roller coaster and you hear that chain clinking. So you'll hear that here too with our TX Max. Once you hear that, you know the braking feet are coming down. It's one-handed motion. You'll brake it, and once you've broken it, you can pull the trigger here, and it'll reset the braking feet so they're out of the way again. You also get a nice plastic box, hard case with our TX Max as opposed to a canvas bag. But in either case, no pun intended, and we'll get into Club RUBI later, but if you sign for Club RUBI, we include a 2-year warranty starting from the purchase date. Okay, when you register your product with the serial number and your receipt on the Club RUBI app, you get an extra 3 years of warranty. I know the guy. He's very handsome. He's very knowledgeable. He happens to be me. So if you have any issues with your tile cutters or you need any tips or troubleshooting, I'm the guy you call down at the office, and you speak directly to me, and I'll help you out as best that I can. One of the big questions that I get regarding our tile cutters is what scoring wheel should I use for which cutter? Okay, we do have a wide variety: 6mm, 8mm, 10mm, 18, and 22. Generally speaking, this is only a recommendation. This isn't the letter of the law. Okay, but 6mm we're going to use for glass and glazed wall tile. 8mm we're going to use for soft porcelain tile. 10mm, now we're using them for hard and floor porcelain tile. 18mm, that's the bigger the scoring wheel, the bigger, the more textured tile that we can now score, right? And then the 22mm, obviously we have the extreme. We have the extreme here for the speed magnet, the TS Max, and the TR magnet. Okay. We also have the 22mm scoring wheel for the TZ and the TX Max, and for the slim cutter system, right? Now the extreme, like I mentioned, a regular tungsten carbide coated in titanium, they're meant to last 300% longer than our silver line scoring wheels. Meaning, if I used to work in commercial, I also did a bit of residential, but if I'm working commercial and I'm using my scoring wheel every day, let's say I'm doing anywhere from 300 to 500 square feet a day, I can probably wait 10 months before having to change out my scoring wheel. Okay, that's the differences between the extreme and our regular silver line. Now, can I do the glass with the 22mm extreme scoring wheel? Yes, you can. In fact, any of these scoring wheels can do glass. It's all about technique. When we score glass, we don't want to score hard and firm, right? We want to baby the glass. It's a delicate little flower. We got to treat it as such. So we got to lightly scratch the surface of the glass, either with the 6mm or the 22mm. When we go to break, it will leave us a nice clean break. People often ask me, how would you recommend we cut tile? Well, you know, manufacturers out there have tile with the paper backing. If you're running through a wet saw, even with the $300 glass blade, what's going to happen is going to tear that paper in the back. Using a tile cutter with these scoring wheels is probably your best bet, because you'll score and snap it, and you'll get a nice clean break with the paper in the back. Now, you may have to run to the wet saw if you got to do an L-shaped cut or an angle kind of cut. But for all the straight cutting, you know, the manual tile cutter is the way to go. And the reason, and other reasons why I say that is there's no water involved, there's no mess, there's very minimal cleanup. And for those of us like me in Chicago, when it gets cold, we can set up inside and use it. So there's a lot of advantages to using a tile cutter. As a former installer, I always tell people you should have all three. You should have a good tile cutter, you should have a wet saw, you should have a good grinder with a good blade. Like I tell people, I used to work I did some work in the John Hancock building. I'm not taking my wet saw to the 75th floor, and I'm not going all the way down to make all my cuts on the wet saw, you know, down 75 flight of stairs, even the elevator, right? So I'm going to set up inside with my tile cutter and a grinder with a sponge to minimize all the dust. Here we have drill bits. We make two different types of, well, we make three different types of drill bits, but I'm going to show you two. First up, we have the dry grass floor grinder. That's pretty much in the name. It's for your grinder, and you can use them dry. You can, the available sizes from 1/4 inch to 3 inch, and the air cooling slots are for increased cooling and core removal. So once I'm done drilling and the material stays in there, I can go in through here and remove that piece of material that was left in there. Excuse me. Below, we have the easy grass floor drill. It's for your drill, and you must use it wet. Okay. This is electroplated diamonds. Up here we have vacuum brazed diamonds. Okay. On your drill though, you want to make sure we're using a 1/2 inch drill and no hammer feature with it, right? And like you said, you must use it wet. It still has the same cooling and core removal options here. So you can, like I said, take your piece of material left over out. Here we have, we sell kits for the dry grass and the easy grass. I mentioned the third one. We have one that's centered, and that one can go through granite quite easily. Excuse me. But the kit comes, I'll talk about the dry grass first. The kit comes with 5 bits, 1/8, 3/8, 3/4, and 11/6, and 2 and 11/16 inch drill bit. All right. You also get this cool suction cup guide. Suction cup guide, you can use the smaller bits, put the circles in here, but any of the bigger ones, like this one here, I just put in that V slot, and that's my guide to help with my drilling of the holes. Now, for the easy grass, you get the same suction cup guide. You also get 4 more bits, made from 3/4, up to 3 inch. Okay. Now, we have a water tank here that's self-feeding. You just push down on this button here, and it'll shoot water in through this spigot out into your drill bits here. Now, a question that most people will have: how long do they last? There's too many variables for me to tell you how long exactly they're going to last. What type of material you're using? Are you using it correctly? Are you using enough water for your drill bits? And are you just kind of forcing them through, or are you using it correctly? Am I using it correctly? I'm talking about you want to go in at an angle, and then you kind of want to rotate the drill bit inside of your cut, right? How to make fittings and why is it important for large format? Let's say we got to do a punch out here, right? As you see here, we drilled a hole at each corner, at each pivot point. If we don't do this, there's so much tension in these large format tiles now that if we don't do this, or even it's just an L-shaped cut, if we don't do that, the stress from the tile will cause this to snap and shatter your piece of tile. So to stop that from happening, we'll take a drill that's no smaller than 3/8 of an inch and drill at each corner, and then we'll take our grinder with our VIP blade, let's say, and we'll play connect dots. Fun game to play while you're a kid. Didn't know you'd use it as an adult, but here we are. All right. So any punch out cut, any L-shaped cut, you're doing a niche or niche if you're Canadian. You play connected dots, and that's how we make the fittings. Other products for installation. Now we're talking about 3 and 4 on our boxes, right? We have the Super Torque. We have the 1800 watt machine with 2 mechanical speeds, and the RPMs ranging from 450 to 780. Right? We got an ergonomic handle again here. Why is this important? We all started somewhere. I started mixing buckets for the tile setters, right? And with this handle, I'm now have a good grip on it. It gives me good posture. With the long shaft here, we do have 30-inch shafts here. You don't have to bend down and mix your bucket. Okay. The other design on it is this helix here, this helix design. It's meant to take all the mix in your bucket, come in through the top and disperse through the bottom. So all you have to do is take your mixing drill and just go around the perimeter of your bucket and you'll get a good mix. Now, what I used to do, and I didn't know it was wrong back then, and what people still tend to do is they go up and down with their mixing, the mixing drill. And what are they doing? They're just adding air to their mix. And if you talk to the folks of Mapei or Latticrete or Custom or any other adhesive companies, they'll tell you that's a big no-no. So using the proper mixing drill will make sure you get a proper mix. Now, I always want to preface this and say, always read the instructions of the adhesive company. They know better than we do. They know better than you do on how to mix their product. It's important that we follow their guidelines. Following their guidelines, using our mixing drill, you should have a perfect mix almost every time. Okay. Here we have the RUBI Mix 9N. It is a 1200 watt machine. It does have the M14 thread paddle as well with ergonomic handles. It does have 2 speed settings again, 0 to 650 and 0 to 850. And as I mentioned, it's imperative that we follow the instructions on the adhesive companies, whether we're mixing SLUs, we're mixing grout, or we're mixing thin set, or anything we're mixing, just follow the guidelines instructed by the adhesive manufacturer. Okay, it is a 10 amp mixer. Like I said, the M14 thread. Now, what you get with the RUBI Mix 9 is you get this nice little chuck. Okay, you can thread this chuck in here, and now you're able to use any paddle, any regular paddle you want with it. You know, we like to play nice with others. So if let's say you're installing tile during the week, and on the weekend your wife wants you to paint the house, and you want to mix the paint, well, just thread this in and get a paint paddle and go to town on it. So we like to play nice, and we like to think of the end user. So we try to think of everything for you guys. Leveling systems. The first one we have here is the Delta leveling clip, right? It's ideal for anything 12 by 12 or larger. And the way it works is we have our base down in the thin set, and we have our clips exposed and the wedge going through it. Now, we do have color coordinated clips. This one here, this gray one here is 1/32. This plastic, this white one here is 1/16, and this red one here is 1/8. They're true to size, meaning if you only need a 1/8 inch grout joint, this is a 1/8 inch spacer. You don't need to use a spacer with it. Okay. Now, as you can see, we like stuff that's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So with that said, a lot of people will have the wedges going one way. There is a method to the madness here. What we want to do, the correct way to do this, we want to feel the lippage. Let's say this side here sits higher than this side. Okay. The fat part of the wedge will sit on the higher side. So when we push it through, what's happening? It's pushing it down into your mud, and it's not coming up. It's not pulling your tile out of the mud, right? It's pushing it down into it. We have an easy fix plier here. You can adjust it to wherever you need to. It is optional to use. You know, guys in the industry, we think we have Popeye-like forearms, and we don't need the fast fix pliers. But believe me, you can get more tuning done with the pliers than if you don't use it at all. Okay. Now, how you remove them? You just kick them with the grout joint. You also got to make sure that you clean around the clip. If you leave too much mud around the clip, you got to kick them off. What's going to happen is they're not going to break off as clean. So make sure we clean around the clip. We want to practice good procedures anyway, so we want to keep our grout joints clean. It makes it easier when we go to clean up the jobs. All right. Next up, we have the Cyclone System. This is your spinner system. Cross and T-base models are substitutes for ceramic tile spacers. Okay. The design of the Cyclone System hoods have been specifically conceived to maximize ergonomics during manual tightening, meaning we're not going to use a tool to tighten it down. We're just going to use our Popeye-like forearms and hands and get that to spin down. We do have different sizes available. This is a brand new product. I don't know the sizes off the top of my head, but I can venture a guess. It's the same as our Delta, 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, and 3/32 here. Okay. Now, how do we get them off? Well, we're just going to kick them off, going with the grout joint as well, and then we'll take these flanges off and reuse the flanges.
So no tools necessary.
Yeah, no tools necessary. Other installation tools for the GPTP, we got a tile beating block. Okay, this is so we can get all the air to escape down from underneath our tile. Right? I'm sure we're all using proper methods of troweling. Well, there's a lot of air underneath, and especially for the walls, we want to beat the air out. And so we have a pattern in which you'll beat it out. You'll start at the center, you'll move to the right, move back to center, move to the left, back to center, and then you can either go up or down depending on which way you're going, and continue until you do the whole piece. Okay. Below that, we have the European trowel, top quality steel made in Spain. Okay. This is the trowel we recommend to use because back in the day, you used to, when 12 by 12s and 18 by 18s were large format tiles, you use a 1/2-inch trowel. And it was fine because when you push down on the ridges and to collapse your ridges, they collapse fairly well. Well, what happens when you collapse in 48 by 48? The ridges don't collapse so well. So the design here is so that the ridges collapse better within itself with minimal movement. Okay, so that we're achieving the proper coverage. I think it's 83% in non-wet areas, and then 90 to 95% in wet areas, as calculated by the NTCA. We recommend that you still back butter using this 0-notch trowel, but you're using this trowel and back buttering, you're going to get about 95 to 100% coverage. All right. Let's see what I have. Here I have an example here of how to trowel. Here we have swirl marks. So you can see the coverage that we're getting or not getting. Here we have ridges going the long ways of the tile. As you can see, we're getting some better coverage. We're not getting full coverage. Here we're using the appropriate notch trowel for this application, and we're collapsing the ridges. As you can see, we're getting full proper coverage. All right. Next up, we have the hand polishing pads. This is important, especially when using GPTP. When you score a piece and you break it off, it's sharp and you can cut yourself. Okay. You should be wearing gloves, but I know a lot of you won't. So make sure that you knock down the edge and just take a 60 grit and polish the side of that exposed edge or that cut, and that way you can run your finger and you won't have to worry about cutting yourself. It also leaves you a nice looking edge. Other installation tools, here we're going to number 4 is grouting. We have replaceable grout floats. We got a beveled edge to get into tougher areas and to help clean up your tile. It is rubber, so it won't scratch or mark your tile. And you can keep the handle, you just have to buy replacements rubber pads. Next up, we have the RUBI Clean Kit. Okay, our research has stated that it cuts ground time by 50%. With this kit, you get 2 rollers, you get 3 sponges. Okay, this one works more like a squeegee, but you roll over the rollers and it cleans your sponges better, and it helps you keep the water cleaner. The most popular sponge to replace is the sponge with a handle. If I were to show you from underneath, you'll see that it's cross-cut. The cross-cuts help keep dirt up there and help keep dirt away from your sponge. So as you're cleaning it, it's a lot cleaner. So RUBI app, as I mentioned when we were talking about the first tile cutters, it's free. Download the app, register your products. You get points towards some cash benefits, but also tile level system calculator in it. Okay, so if I want to figure how much straps and caps I need, I'll take side 1, which here we put 47 inches, Side B, which is 8 inches, we're working with an 8x47, and we're going to work with 915 square feet. It calculates that I'll need 1,400 straps and 467 caps or wedges. All right, like I said, this comes in handy. Keep in mind that this is only a recommendation. It's not the law. But these are the recommendations when you get your tile level system calculator.
Well, it's a great reference too, no? Because there's several types of leveling systems, and this can actually be a tool that could help you figure which and how many or how much of what you already have, the parts that you can reuse versus the ones that you need to buy extra to continue the next installation. So definitely a great tool on the electronic side of things for you folks to have handy to when you're actually getting ready also, and on the preparation part, to calculate properly and have that at your fingertips, no?
Yeah.
Excellent tool to keep in mind, Hector. Thank you so much. And then, of course, we want to remind our folks that this is the holiday season upon us. So wish everybody to have a phenomenal Thanksgiving celebration this weekend. Keep it safe, be fun, and stay with the family, right? It's a great time to be with the family. So for that purpose, we want to invite everybody to click on the link also to register. You'll see it also on our Facebook page. You can click also there on the banner and register to participate and be able to get one of these websites that we presented today. What do you think, Hector?
I think it sounds like a great idea. And for those out there, I want to wish a happy Thanksgiving. And if we don't see each other by then, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
A really true encompassing all presentation, from the best electric tile cutters to the proper way to use them, scoring wheels and manual cutters as well at your fingertips. It's so cool to be able to see that there's the actual electric machines, professionals are using them, but the new models that are coming up and that now are making their processes a little better and easier with better exactitude, be able to control that. I love the fact that you were able to explain us also how to use different blades, right? And and cater your projects accordingly, right? From the materials that you're working with, the proper blades, the size blade also that are important into the play of making those decisions, right? To a successful installation. This is awesome. Hector, thank you so much. Let's bring Jim back into the mix and see if there's any questions.
All right.
I want to thank you guys, but I really want our audience to know that after this is over, they will be sent a list of all of you that attended today, and they'll get back to you and make sure that they assist you in registering for that great prize, that holiday prize. So I want to make sure I thank you guys for it. We do have, we got one question here, and I wanted to ask this real quickly. So on your TC125, is the slim cutter rail interchangeable?
Yes. If I know what they're asking, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have any more details, so that's all I can ask you.
Yeah, I mean, if they purchase a slim cutter from 2017, they can use those same rails for the TC125. They don't have to buy new rails.
Okay, great.
Now, important also that when they get the new one, the Plus, the Slim Cutter Plus, the difference is that Hector was mentioning. No, you want to get the new handle. The new handle is phenomenal to put the proper pressure when you're scratching your material, right? And the handle got redesigned, so it's a little bit more ergonomic. It's better, of course. And
we're not scratching material. We're not scratching material. We're scoring it, right?
Right, we're scoring.
We don't want to scratch it. We don't want to scratch it.
Exactly, exactly. And the channels, right? They work with both. They work with the TC125 if you're having the necessity of working on an electric, and you have also the slim cutter rolling that you can actually put on the channels as well.
Well, you guys, you presented a lot of great information, a lot of great tools that all of our installers should be aware of, what's out there, what's available, how to use them. I agree with what Charlie said just a minute ago. It's important to use the right tools for the right situation. Please always take advantage of that. You can call RUBI, you can go on their website and get information on the right products to use. They have technical people. You can call Hector anytime. You can call I know Charlie would help in any way too. So I want to thank all of you. Great job. I want to say thank you to all of you that attended. Happy Thanksgiving. It's coming up in a couple days, you guys, and should be fun. So thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you. Have a great holiday weekend.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
folks. Have a great one. Enjoy, be safe, and be with the family, of course.